Hey, what's going on, guys? How's everybody doing? So I have a feeling that some of you guys out here are not gonna exactly like what I have to say today. Now, let's not misconstrue what I'm getting into. I'm not here to poo-poo all over our favorite maid waifu, but I see a lot in comment sections, can I replace, this Zhongli with Noelle or this Chi-Chi with Noelle? And it's like, the problem is Noelle might heal, but that does not make a healer. So today we're going to be going over my justifications on why I don't think Noelle is actually a healer or a support unit at all. She actually fits a different role. But before we do, make sure that you're subscribed to the channel, that you like this video, and that you hit the notification bell. That way you never miss a video. Also, do make sure to check out our Discord. Link will be down in the description below. We got a lot of great people over there, so make sure to check that out. But without further ado, let's hop right into the video. Noelle is a character that I think most Genshin players at some point in time have included on their team. During the very beginning of the game, she's the first quote-unquote banner character we're introduced to through the beginner banner, and she's also one of the two characters who can heal until you start to unlock more through the gacha system. At least for myself, Noelle was my main healer through a sizable portion of the early game until I unlocked Xingqiu and started playing him alongside my Razor, and then furtherly until I was able to unlock Chi-Chi, and yes, I even used her. But from what I found from speaking with other players is that they also take this similar road, using Noelle as a healer in the early game, and then moving on when unlocking other healers, or sticking with her if the gacha gods haven't been very kind. In the beginning to mid-game, where you're going through and exploring the world, fighting through domains and questing, completing daily tasks, let's be honest, there isn't even a lot of need for a dedicated healer on your team since you can rely on food or statues at the 7 for your healing. So in these cases, sure, it's fine to run Noelle as your healer. You aren't trying to complete a difficult challenge or be gated by a clock constantly ticking down. It's once you get into the end game, that currently being the Abyss, that she falls off drastically as a healer and, as we'll see, is even detrimental to most team comps as such. And this is where team comps matter most. We're trying to squeeze out every bit of value and damage of a team's composition rather than just survive. So first we have to ask ourselves, what makes a good healer in this game? In my eyes, there are several different aspects that I look for in a top tier healer. The first being, how else is that character being useful to the team when they don't need to heal? Can they provide a sufficient amount of energy? Do they apply any debuffs to enemies or buffs to our main damage dealers? Can they use an artifact set to further increase our team's performance? Or even, can they provide extra damage when off field? Because let's face it, if a healer is only that, a healer, if our team isn't in need of healing and they can't do anything to help further, well then you might as well just have a team of 3. Which segues into the next key ingredient I search for, which is what does their healing look like when off the battlefield, if at all. The faster we can get out our other supports to pop their skills and then get our main carry onto the field, the bigger damage we can do and the faster we can do it to clear those abyss floors. Without damage, we're just burning time. So because of this, the last thing I look at is how big or fast their healing capabilities are, especially if they don't provide any healing when off field. If they can only heal while on field, but they heal the team in one shot, well, that's pretty good. But if it takes 5 to 10 seconds, that's a lot of time that's kind of wasted. Time that you aren't dealing maximum damage, time that you can't get back. And unfortunately, Noelle fails, or at least is subpar in many of these categories. Let's start with my biggest problem with Noelle at the very top, which stems off to all my other problems, that being that Noelle does not generate energy on her own. This is a huge problem not only for her team, but for her as well, especially if you don't have another Geo hero on your team to generate Geo energy. The job of your supports is to help your carry perform the best they can as often as possible, not the other way around, which leads to Noelle's consistency issues. Noelle's heals aren't perfect. In fact, her chance to heal is far from it. She can only heal while her shield is active, and even then, there's only a chance at a max of 60% that each basic attack she connects with will heal all members on your team. This can be offset, however, once you unlock her first constellation, increasing the healing chance to 100%, but only once both her skill and burst are active. But this leads back to the problem of her energy generation. The main way a hero generates energy is through their skill, so that they can receive an on-field bonus and a same element bonus. Without both of these, Noelle can have real trouble getting her burst active. And without that, you're hoping that your hits actually heal your team, which doesn't seem exactly like a winning proposition to me. A hero like Chi-Chi, for example, also cannot generate energy on her own. But she makes up for this by being able to create a talisman on an enemy through her basic attack, which will heal the hero that attacks the enemy with this applied. Chi-Chi's heals are also absurdly large. Some would even say her heals are too good, which is why most people have switched to using Diona as their healer of choice. Since you can't over-heal a character, trading some healing power for utility is simply the better solution in most cases. But what about her damage? Clearly, she can only heal while on field, which fails one of my previous conditions, so since that's the case, maybe she does really good damage to compensate. Not really, unfortunately, unless she has her burst active, which, as we said before, is hit or miss, especially when not on a comp with at least one other Geo hero, potentially even two. And since we need to invest in her defense to increase what heals she does provide, we can't afford to expand on the other main stats like an attack timepiece or a crit circlet to improve this damage. So we have a bit of a conflict here in her build. She does quite a bit of damage when you get her C4, causing her shield to explode when it expires or being destroyed, dealing 400% attack of Geo damage. But again, because the scale's off of her attack and we're building her for defense, it's a bit awkward. She gets more attack based on her defense when she has her burst active, but again, see my previous comments about consistency. This could all be forgiven though if Noelle has utility to provide beyond her healing or damage while off the field, and unfortunately, she's also not the best here either. That's not to say that she's useless though, because obviously she provides a shield, which can be used for further synergy like activating the Georesonance or protecting your main hero from damage to stack passives on a weapon like for example Serpent Spine. But defense for the sake of defense is the same as playing to not lose instead of playing to win. We can look at Zhongli as an example of why Noelle's shield is not fantastic. Post-buff, Zhongli is one of the best characters in the game. He can fit on almost any team, but the only major change that was made to his kit, besides damage improvements, was the fact that a universal resistance shred was added to his shield, allowing Zhongli to play both defense and offense at the same time. This is why pre-buff, Zhongli was not as ubiquitous as he is now, because simply a shield was not good enough. Now granted, we also got buffs to the Georesonance and buffs to Geo shields in general, but Noelle also benefits from these buffs, and her shield is still not in the same tier as Zhongli's. Now, do I mean to say that Noelle's shield should be as good as Zhongli's? Of course not. He's a 5-star and she's a basically free 4-star. My point is that a shield just for being a shield does not push your damage in any way, and it's because of the extra resistance shred that Zhongli's shield is the most powerful shield in the game and makes it viable. You could also say that she doesn't really have any great supporting artifact sets. Jean, for example, can be used as a 4-piece Viridescent Venerer user to drastically lower your enemy's elemental resistances and further your team's damage. We could put a set like Archaic Petra on Noelle, though if we do this, that means we aren't running Maiden Beloved, which for most healers is not necessary. But because it takes so long to heal your team to full without it, it's almost necessary for Noelle, specifically if you're looking for her to be a primary healer and to get off the field as quick as possible so that you can go back to killing your enemies with your main carry, since we already discussed how she has some consistency issues and her damage isn't the greatest, and neither are her heals. It takes a little bit of time to actually heal your team to full. So all these things considered, does it mean that you cannot run Noelle as a healer? Of course not. At the end of the day, you can run any combination of heroes you want. This is a PvE game after all, and as long as you can clear the content, then who cares what your team is? But when people like myself or other content creators suggest team comps, since overworld content is more or less irrelevant what you run, we're looking at Abyss level content, and due to this, we look for the most optimal teams. And as we previously discussed, for me, Noelle does not fit the requirements needed to fill the healer role. But that doesn't mean she can't be a fantastic carry, which is what her role truly is, and where her potential truly blossoms, which we will be looking at in a future video this week, so make sure you're subscribed to the channel so that way you know when that video drops. Like this video and hit the notification bell, that way you never miss a video. Also, do make sure to check out our Discord, link will be down in the description below. But guys, that's all I have for today. Hopefully you did enjoy, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.